in the age of in his early 20s when he
Oh, like Bobby
falls
Riggs?
off Everest. I won't. Beyond that, up there with Federer and Nadal, those kind of people. And he's up there to become the greatest of all time. It's kind of the people at Powerline described it as Faust beats damn Yankees, and they were right. I'm not. I don't want to tell too much because I want your listeners to go onto Amazon, get a copy, and have some laughs for a change.
Okay, good, good. That's great. That's great. But we certainly wanted to hype that. So, what do you think is going to come of this transcript? What do you think is going to come of Nancy Pelosi and this impeachment inquiry?
Well, there's a famous line from King Lear, to be literary: "Nothing will come of nothing." I was amused by the Drudge report this morning. Drudge is running one of his polls about what's going to come of all this, and 76% said absolutely nothing. 20% said there'll be an impeachment but no conviction, and then about 4.5% think that Trump's going to be in trouble. So I think that's probably an accurate reading of the reality of the situation.
Well, those people who think that somehow Trump's going to be impeached should take a civics course. I mean,
he could be impeached by the House and put up for trial by the Senate, but the chances of it being convicted by the Senate is about as much as I'm about to fly off over a tree.
Yeah, but
it ain't happening.
No, it's not going to happen. And
but no, I don't think they're leaving an impeachment. The whole thing is ridiculous, and it's flying back in there. You know what the really interesting thing about it is?
Yeah.
The stock market has gone up today. Now, those are people who have to put their money where their mouth is. I mean, pundits, politicians, they just bloviate, drool, say what they want. But if you got to put up real money, you're thinking, and the money's going up. Now, why would people who are going to see the President of the United States impeached put their money up? They wouldn't. They'd run out, take it out of the stocks and put it, under their stocks.
Mm-hmm.
It just proves out it's the economy.
Yeah.
None of this is happening. It's political theater.
It's true. It is political theater, and what I see, Roger, is that I don't think anything's going to come of it. But more importantly, I think that, as you pointed out, people will see Donald Trump is who he is in private as he is in person. And I thought it was great that the Ukrainian president said, "Yeah, release the transcripts. I want people to know what we talked about." I thought that was great. And when the Ukrainian president stepped up and said, "Yeah, do that," I said, "There's nothing in it," because if there were, the Ukrainian president would said no.
He'd be scared.
Yeah, no, because let's be clear. Let's be clear. Kiev, they don't have a democracy. They will overthrow a sitting president. Okay. They don't have a democracy like we do. They will go there and run him out of office. But the president, in my opinion, was very gracious, very clear, though, that he wanted the president to look into the treatment of the prosecutor and what happened in that situation. And he said, "Hey, I heard the guy was treated very badly, and I'd like to know what happened." But the Ukrainian president came back and said, "Provide us with any information that will help us. We're looking into this. We want to look into this too."
Yeah, I mean, he sounds like a very interesting guy, actually, the Ukrainian president. He's a former stand-up comic. I mean, that's kind of amazing. I mean, he's a very different kind of person. He also happens to be Jewish, and during World War II, the Jews in the Ukraine took it on the chin big time. So it's interesting what's happened, and he's a very interesting man. I look forward to hearing more from him.
Yeah, well, what he said, and I quote what he said, and I quote verbatim. He said, I also plan to surround myself with great people, and in addition to that investigation, I guarantee, as president of the Ukraine, that all the investigations will be done openly and candidly. That I can assure you. That's what the president of Ukraine said. We're going to conduct these investigations openly and candidly. That's what he said, not President Trump. And President Trump responded, "Good."
Yeah, no,
He said, "Good, because I heard you had
yeah,
a
yeah.
prosecutor who was very good, and he was shut down, and that's really unfair." A lot of people are talking about that. The way they shut down your very good prosecutor, they set your very good prosecutor down, and you have some very bad people involved. And it's really interesting. I'm sitting here, and like I said, this is probably the sixth time I'm reading through this and sharing it with the audience. But it's really it says a lot to these two people working together, and there is no quid pro quo. The president didn't hold anything
No.
over the head of the Ukrainian president, and Nancy Pelosi.
Well, she was absolutely scared out of her head by the left wing of her party. The nutcases and the squad and all that thing. Meanwhile, the big short-term winner here is, I think, Elizabeth Warren, because she just walked into the nomination.
Yeah,
I mean,
Joe's
Biden
toast.
is Biden is toast,
Yeah, he's toast.
absolute toast.
Yeah. And whether he
And
knows it or not, besides being too old and all the gaffes, but if Elizabeth
right,
Warren, if Elizabeth Warren is running against Donald Trump, and it continues to be out there, she tries to act like she didn't lie on an application and say she was an Indian American and get a job at Harvard, and it's very clear that she did.
yeah, that's the least of her problems in some ways. I mean, she's recommending proposals that not only would bankrupt the United States, they probably bankrupt the rest of the world with it. I mean, it's absolute nonsense what she's proposing, and and she's gonna have a lot of trouble walking that stuff back.
Well, she's
So
not going to walk it
she
back.
she's proposing a society of virtually free everything.
Yeah, well, who's going to do the work?
it, it, how that works, no one's explaining exactly, but it reminds me of the old famous line by Margaret Thatcher about socialism.
Oh
At
yeah,
some point, you run out of other
out of
people's
other
money.
people's money. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
yep. Well, look, we got about a minute here, and I'll go ahead and let you have the last word. People need to go out though and grab your book from Amazon, The Goat.
Yeah, I mean, look, I promise you. Again, one of the things I think a writer owes his audience is a good time. Especially writing a novel. I don't want to bore anybody. Really, I don't. I mean, I'm bored easily myself. So, if I could offer people their money back, I would, but it's too difficult with a novel. However, if you come up to me someday at a party or in a bookstore and say I hated your book, I'll take you out for a beer. That's my promise.
Okay, we're going to hold you to that. Okay.
Yeah, you can. It'll be fun, actually.
So when are you going on tour?
I'm going to a couple of places, but in these days, the book tour thing is sort of dead because everybody does everything on Skype and radio, just like I'm doing right now. I mean, yeah, I've done maybe 25 of these from behind my desk.
Oh, that's great.
So there's no point. Now I mean, your show is Chicago. That's a big market for anything
Well, yeah,
or whatever.
we have about fifty
You got
thousand.
a fair amount of people.
Yeah, but we have about
A lot
50.
of people live there.
Yeah, but we have about 50,000 people listening. I don't know how many are local, but we have 50,000 hits coming through the.
That's a lot of folks.
Yeah,
I
that's our average.
authors going on a bookstore tour. I've done it myself over the years, and you end up with 20 people in a bookstore.
Okay. Hey, well, look.
It's not as it's better to be on with you.
I appreciate that. Appreciate you, Roger. Roger Simon, the GOAT. Thanks for coming on, talking a little bit about Trump and the transcript. Really appreciate you, dude.
Well, I enjoy it a lot. Sorry I missed you when you were at TJTV. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. So that was Roger and Roger Simon. Grab his book, The GOAT. we're going to bring on a gentleman to talk to us about uh, reverse mortgages and finances. And he has a book out called The Swiss Army Knife of Retirement Cash Flow. So we're going to switch gears real quick away from politics and talk about you, talk about what's important to you. We're going to welcome Mr. Kevin Gutman. And, it's always great to have new guests with great ideas and that are represented by my good friend CJ. Welcome, Mr. Gutman. How are you?
Hey, thank you for having me. I was enjoying listening to your previous guest. That was some great insight he had. I enjoyed that very much.
Well, thank you, and I'm sure we'll enjoy listening to your insight about retirement. I'm a financial advisor myself. Former Series 7, Series 6, all that good stuff, 65,
Uh huh.
all that stuff. And you said why working has become the new retirement. Interesting. People are continuing to work into retirement because they don't want to get bored. They're younger
Right.
feeling, they're younger acting. I'm
Yep.
60, I'm 67, and I'm not thinking about retiring. Retire to do what?
Right. Well, there's several things to it. We have people that are, as you said, healthy, living longer. People enjoy working. There is a segment of the population though that is working because they have to, and so what we provide is just an option for them to access their equity tax free in three different ways: lump sum monthly payments, or a line of credit that grows 4 to 6% a year, guaranteed compound interest. There's really no other financial tool out there like it, and it's been misunderstood and misrepresented over the years. So we're just trying to educate people about this option and see if it can help them in their retirement years.
What option is that again? Taking a line of credit that grows at.
So people use reverse mortgages three different ways. One, they can buy a house with a reverse mortgage, increase their purchasing power by 40%, get a nicer home in a newer area with updated amenities, no deferred maintenance, and not have a mortgage payment. That's one use. Two, most people use it this way: they can eliminate the mandatory monthly mortgage payment, make their payment optional or eliminate it altogether, as long as they stay in their home as their primary residence 6 months or more a year, pay the property taxes, homeowners insurance. They can wipe out their monthly mortgage payment. And that's the biggest expense that seniors have in retirement is their mortgage payment. So when we make that optional or eliminate it altogether, it gives them some breathing room. The third way is for people who have paid their house off or paid it down significantly, where they can access their equity three ways: lump sum, monthly payments, or a line of credit. So you mentioned you're a financial planner. I had a financial planner call me up one time, and he said, hey, I think I know the secret sauce of these reverse mortgages. I said, okay, what's that? He said, it's the line of credit. I said, I would agree with you, because the line of credit component can grow between 4 and 6% a year. It's guaranteed, it's insured, and it's compound interest. So we're seeing this used to be a loan of last resort, and now we're seeing even people of means take advantage of it because they don't like the fact that their equity is earning 0% return. So they can take a part of it, a portion of it, and start earning interest on their equity. And when they need it, they can pull the money out tax free.
Wow, it's great.
So I've got lots of stories. I don't know if your listeners would want to hear them, but um, I remember the very first lady I helped. She was 84 years old, single lady, lived in a duplex, rented out the other half of her duplex. And I asked her, I said, hey, her name was Carmen. I said, why do you want to do this? She said, well, money's a little bit tight for me. And I said, sure, I get that. A lot of people say that. Tell me more. She said, well, to be honest, I have to buy groceries. I'm living on credit cards to buy groceries. So at the closing table, we were able to eliminate her monthly mortgage payment, 700 a month, free up the credit card payments, 300 a month, saved her $1,000 a month. So I said, "Hey, tell me what this has done for you." And she kisses me on the cheek, and she said, "Now I can sleep at night. I don't have to worry about money."
Wow, that's great. It's a great story. That's a
And
great
then I have
story.
a client that was referred to me by a realtor. They wanted to move. I live in Colorado. They wanted to move back to Colorado, live near family. His health was failing. They wanted to buy a house that could fit this stage of their life, so no stairs, no maintenance, etc. And he had to have oxygen living at altitude. And then when his wife left the room, he confided in me that he felt he wasn't long for the earth. He wanted to be sure his wife was going to be okay when he passed on. Okay, meaning she could stay in their house and not have a payment because they couldn't afford it. So we closed in 30 days, and 6 months later, I get a phone call from the wife saying, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but my husband passed away, and you told us if we lived in our house 6 months or more a year, paid the property tax insurance, maintained the house, that we wouldn't have a mortgage payment. Is that true?" I said, "Yes, that's true." She sighed a sigh of relief and she said, "That's good, because that's the only way I can stay in my house with my husband passing away. I can't afford a payment." So, this program can really change people's lives.
And this was a program that was put in place by President Reagan, right?
That's correct. 1989, President Reagan and Congress passed a 10-year law to see if this would help people stay in their homes, stay at the time. They didn't stay on title. They gave up ownership of their home, but that's been corrected. Now they stay on title, maintain their independence, and not outlive their money. By the way, you might be interested to know other countries have had a version of this for years. Australia, the UK, Japan, Korea, Canada. Lots of different countries have a similar program like we do.
Did we start it, or did we emulate their program?
The first reverse mortgage happened in 1961. There was a widow in Maine whose husband passed away, and a banker in town knew the family. He had played football for the husband, who was the football coach. And he went to his bank and said, "The only way this lady can stay in her house is if we allow her to stop making payments to us, and we allow her to make payments from her equity." And so the first reverse mortgage was born in 1961. And for 28 years, it was kind of the Wild West, so to speak. There was lots of different companies that did them and had a variation of them. And in 1989, Congress passed this law, 10-year law, which they made permanent, and let the Housing and Urban Development HUD oversee them. And over the years, they've tweaked it and made it safer, actually, for seniors.
Well, that's great because I know too many people who were losing their homes in their later years, especially when we started moving toward this globalization BS. And I've never been uh, in lockstep with the globalist, and I've always been against globalization. I guess I've always been a nationalist, and this started
Yeah.
when I was in college. People were talking about doing business with Japan, and I'm like, why? We did
Hmm.
business with Japan before they attacked us in Pearl Harbor. They bought up all our scrap metal and then built airplanes to come and attack us with them. So I said, why would we care what happens in Japan? And we'd have professors who try to convince you that if things are better in Japan, they were better here. Well, ironically, I happen to become a naval officer, so I'm in the Westpac. I'm going to Japan and the Philippines and Guam and all these places where the we just fought World War II, and here I am, 30 years after 1975. And a number of these islands and countries, like the Philippines, they said they had a democracy, but they didn't have a democracy. They had an oligarchy, if not a
Hmm.
dictatorship. And it was more like a dictatorship because Marcos ran everything. There wasn't a group of people running anything. Marcos ran
Right.
everything, and they had martial law. So you get the academic version, and then when you're visiting these places, you get the real version. Okay. And
Hmm. Hmm.
so I have never ever been a globalist. I've never supported. putting Americans out of jobs to bolster the betterment of other countries, like when the 80s when they decided to build a 300 million person middle class in China. They decimated the American middle class by taking all the jobs and sending them to China.
Right.
I've always been angry about that, and I guess this president, President Trump, is the first president. And I always say Donald Trump is the white Charles Butler, because I was saying the things and doing things that Trump is doing today. I was saying that stuff back in the 70s and 80s. In fact, they used to call me Lil Ross Perot when Ross ran for office and took Bush out. People are you sound like Ross Perot. I'm like, no, Ross Perot sounds like me. Let's be clear. So that sucking sound was your jobs, and everybody, it's really interesting how I lived in California and people go, oh, we can't buy cars from Detroit because those are union cars, blah blah. So those people, those same people that complained about union cars in Detroit and bought Japanese cars, their jobs went where? To China, to Mexico, to
Right.
Taiwan. And now they have
Yep.
nobody. Well, now who you gonna blame? You didn't want to buy American. You wanted to build up these other countries, and now your damn job has gone to those countries. Now what, dude?
It's funny you say California. I grew up in California. In fact, President Reagan was Governor Reagan. He was my governor when I was a boy. And tell you a quick story about that. He inherited the governorship from Pat Brown. Pat Brown left the state in a deficit. Governor Reagan came in and had 2 terms, left the state with a surplus. Then Jerry Moonbeam Brown came in the first time and left the state in a deficit. Then we had another conservative, Duke Majan, great governor, left the state in the surplus. And then the 90s was a mess with Pete Wilson and that guy they recalled, Gray Davis, and then Schwarzenegger got in. But then we got Moonbeam again. I don't live there anymore, but California elected Moonbeam again. Shocking to me that they would elect somebody like that 4 times, but they did. But the point is, Reagan and Duke Majan, with their policies and their philosophies, left the state better. Brown, Pat Brown, Jerry Brown, with their philosophies and policies, left the state in worse shape.
Yeah, they did. And, you know, in fact, under Pat Brown, we had free education. You could go to the UC system or the University of California or the Cal State system. All you do is pay for books. You didn't have to pay for tuition. Remember that? If you're a resident.
That's before my time. I'm
Yeah.
a little younger than you, but
Yeah.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, well, that was the case.
They want everything to be free.
Yeah, that was the case. And when you talk about those policies and driving people out of jobs and driving people and decimating economies, that's exactly what happened.
So
Just
you'll appreciate this, Charles. Let me share this one thing about a reverse mortgage, which I'm not a big fan of government programs, to be honest, because they tend to be bloated and bureaucratic and they don't work.
right,
But this one actually does. I'll tell you an example. These loans, these are FHA loans, reverse mortgages,
right,
and one of the features of a FHA loan is it has mortgage insurance. Well, historically, mortgage insurance benefits the lender. In this case, FHA, they're going to be sure they get all their money out because it's a deferred interest loan. But in this case, it also protects the homeowner because with a reverse mortgage, the house owes the money, not a person. So if in the unlikely case somebody ends up underwater with their home, they owe more than it's worth, that mortgage insurance kicks in and makes up the shortfall. So it's good for the FHA. They're going to get all their money. It's good for the homeowner. They're not on the hook, or their heirs aren't on the hook for making up any shortfall that may arise. And it's good for the taxpayer because we don't have to bail out people with a reverse mortgage as taxpayers. So this is one they've designed pretty well. It's not perfect, but it actually works and accomplishes what it set out to do. Keep seniors in their home, maintain their independence, stay on title, and not have a mandatory monthly mortgage payment.
great. It's great. Well, look, we got about a minute here left, and that was a great note to end on. That was really very informative. You got to come back, spend some more time with us, man. We need to do this at least once a month.
I would love that.
Yeah, we need to at least do this once a month. That's just
Your folks are my folks. I'm from Orange County, California, which was the bastion of conservatism, and it just flipped this last election, which is heartbreaking, but it did happen. And so
well. That's
I
because
love your
wait a minute.
message and all that you're doing, man.
But that's because they moved so many illegals in there. You got illegals.
I do
You
think
got
that happened.
you
I
got
do think that
you
happened.
have wait a minute.
Yeah, I was in Bob Dornan's district. Bob Dornan was the guy who was censured on the
First time.
congressional floor for calling out Clinton.
Yeah.
That was my guy. That was my
Yeah. I
district
know
I was
Bob. I
from.
know
And they
Bob.
flipped that seat years ago because of voter fraud.
Yeah, I know Bob personally, but they got Bob. But you moved a whole bunch of Vietnamese in there, a bunch of Koreans in there. Now you got all the Mexicans flooding in there. You got we have all these foreigners that relocated to Orange County. They get ready. They come in from Armenia. From Armenia, they go to LAX. Then they get on they get picked up. They go down to Orange County, get settled in. Then they show up trying to get Social Security and disability. That's the game that's being played in California. We have so much Social Security and Medicaid fraud going on in California. It's ridiculous. Remember, you don't remember this probably, but back in the 90s, early 90s, they had a group of doctors called Muscovites, and they had cheated the Medicare Medicaid system out of something like $500 million, $500 million at that time. I mean, you have people who come over here and misuse the system, and they don't care in California. If you show up, they just give it to you. My sister's a psychiatrist, and she does evaluations for Social Security, and she says you wouldn't believe some of these people. They play video games all day, and they talk about how they're disabled because they're too fat to work, and people make fun of them, so they can't go to work. They have low. I mean, it's crazy. But anyway. Hey man, Bob Dornan, that was the name of the past. I liked old Bob. He got taken out. And the thing about it is nothing happened. Nothing happened when they knew that there was voter fraud, voter fraud, and nothing happened. The voter fraud happens all
Well,
the
what
time.
they said was, we already swore her in. What do you want us to do? Like, really? We're now accepting voter fraud?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, as long as it's not. Well, President Trump, he called on Russia to investigate Hillary Clinton's emails, and he asked the foreign government for help. Get the heck out of here. I want to say get out of here. But I tell you, as we were talking with my other guests, I think this transcript just shows that the Democrats have nothing. They're grasping at straws. Donald Trump's going to win this election by a landslide, which is going to drive the liberals crazy. And we're going to get another conservative because guess what? People want nationalism. We want to put Americans first. That's what most Americans want, not politicians who are padding their pockets with lobbying funds and saying, well, we need to accept these other people and help these other people out at the expense of the American people. Those days are over. As President Trump's speech at the UN yesterday sized it all up, as far as I'm concerned. We're not talking about that, though. We're talking about impeachment. We're not talking about the president's wonderful speech Monday at the UN about nationalism, about America, about putting America first. And he encouraged other nations to put their citizens first. He didn't just stop at America first. He said, you all should put the interest of your citizens first. We're not globalists. I love this guy.
Well, there's a lot to love about him. There really is. And we pray for him all the time.
We better, because I tell you, the Secret Service really has their hands full dealing with the crazies out there, and we cannot allow this president to be taken out. He's unique. He's a business guy. He gets it. And we need to have another businessman running this country. I thought Romney was going to be that guy. Romney turned to be such a wimp. He was, Lord, he was horrible.
He was a rhino. Yeah. You know who else I liked was Herman Cain, and they destroyed him too.
Yeah, they destroyed. You know what I told Herman when I saw him, though? I said, Herman, would you please slip me Jennifer's telephone number? That's because if you was thinking about that
and then Trump tried to put him in as a Fed, and they boy, I'll tell you, they're
Well, they tried to put
They
my
deal from the
friend.
bottom of the deck,
They tried to
man.
put my friend Stephen Moore in. You saw what happened to Stephen. They destroyed him, put all his
Yeah,
business in the street.
yeah.
I can't wait for him to.
Well qualified people too.
I can't wait for him to come after me because I hit. I'm like Trump. I hit back. I don't just see Nixon was wrong. Nixon should have hit back. He should have dumped John Dean and said John Dean was a liar, and he was. John Dean lied for the prosecutors and said what they wanted him to say, and he sent Erickman to jail. He sent uh, G.
Haldeman.
Alderman to jail because he lied. He lied on those men. His testimony was the one that sunk everybody. He was a lying. Somebody should have took him out. And whenever I see, in fact, I was on in a lounge one day, and I'm looking at this guy, and I'm going, "Damn, this guy looks familiar. He looks familiar."
Mm.
I didn't really couldn't put it together though. And so he walked over to me, and we started talking, and he introduced himself, John Dean, and I said, "John Dean, you're the guy
Mm.
who destroyed one of the greatest presidents this country has ever known." And I said, I was in college when you did that in 73. I never believed anything that you had to say then. And I just can't believe that we're talking now. I said, but I think, Mr. Dean, what you did was absolutely wrong. And I walked away.
Mm.
That's cold blooded, huh?
Hey, you got to tell the truth, brother.
Well, look, man, thank you so much for coming on. Like I told you, we got to do this at least once a month. And tell
I'd
CJ,
love that.
yeah,
And if people want to learn more, they can look at my website. I got a lot of information there. Seniorflexloan.com.
say it again.
Seniorflexloan.com.
Senior spelled all the way out.
SeniorFlexLoan.com.
Great, great information, and great talking to you. I enjoyed it, Keith. Thank you so much for
Hey,
coming
thanks
on.
for your time, Charles. Real
Okay,
pleasure.
you too. Bye bye. Okay,
Bye
folks.
bye.
Bye bye.
It's all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean.
The other side of the ocean.
Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
Oh boy, a 16-year-old. Now, where do you think she got those talking points from? Her communist socialist parents? I mean, and I should be in school. You're absolutely right. You should be in school trying to learn something with your dumb self. You're a dummy. I'm sorry, Greta. Understand one thing. You're dumb. You haven't done your homework, Greta. Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg. This is Greta Thunberg, you all. All right. I just am one of the lucky ones. Whole ecosystems are. What ecosystems are crashing? Give me a break. The world, the earth, climate change. The climate changes every damn day. We've had scandal after scandal with climate scientists and climate change. It used to be called global warming, but the warming didn't match up with the forecast. So guess what? Because we had one of the the coldest winters. The last 5 winters have been some of the coldest winters we've ever had. So global warming did. So they had to change it. It's climate change. Oh, the oceans are rising. Ah, please give me a break. Give me a break. Okay. Let's go back to Greta.
For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away?
That's the message.
Yeah. How dare you to look away? Well, we're going to look away. We're going to get away from Greta Thunberg and her, we will never forgive you. The kids will never forgive you for failing us. Please. Shut up. 16 years old. Go somewhere and get an education. Then come back and talk to me. Hey, look, we got a couple of minutes here. I just want to be clear because we're going to talk about this tomorrow. We'll have some people come on and talk to us. Want to be clear that President Zelensky said he's going to look into the Joe Biden, Hunter Biden prosecutor issue per the request of the president. And he wants the president to, they want to work in conjunction. And the attorney general and President Trump was very clear. I want to get, Attorney General Barr involved in this. And we're also going to have Rudy Giuliani, my personal attorney, looking into this. We need to get to the bottom of it because it's something smelly here. You have Joe Biden bragging. I mean, literally bragging that he co-opted the system. He made these people give him, you know, made them fire this prosecutor. I didn't say it. Joe Biden said it. We're going to play this on the way out because this is going to.
I remember going over convincing our team, our others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan. They were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired. And
Joe Biden said that, not Donald Trump, not Charles Butler. Hey, we got a few minutes here. Want to thank you all for tuning in. It's been wonderful, wonderful hanging with you. It's always good. It's always good. And it's always informative, the reality check. So hang in here and we will get to the bottom of this. And we'll be doing this tomorrow. Same time, same place. The reality check with Charles Butler. Thank you. Okay, folks, that was that. Try for free. Oh, man, I tell you, you can't make this stuff up. So, what we're going to do is duck out of here. And hopefully, we'll be good. Okay.